You came into this world with your eyes wide open, fully awake. Every touch, every sound, every face leaning over your crib. You absorbed it all with the raw intensity of someone meeting existence for the very first time. Hunger, comfort, fear, warmth, you felt it all. You learned voices, recognized faces, and formed your first bonds. You were completely present, fully aware. So why can't you remember any of it? That erasure isn't an accident. It's the brain's first act of mercy, a neurological kindness meant to protect you from the unbearable intensity of those early months. But in that protection, something mysterious is lost. The memory of who you were before the world taught you who to be. Imagine tasting for the very first time, not just sweetness, but the overwhelming reality of sensation itself. Every texture, every sound, every temperature landed without context, without familiarity to soften the blow. A baby's nervous system processes the world at maximum intensity. No filters, no expectations, no past experience to cushion the impact. That's why, when fragments of infancy resurface in dreams or therapy, they often feel overpowering, not because they were traumatic, but because they were unfiltered. There was once a time when you existed without the word I. Experience flowed through you without the narrator that now tells your story. You felt joy without knowing it was joy. You trembled in fear without the idea of fear. You were pure presence, a consciousness without commentary. That pre-linguistic self still exists within you, buried under decades of words and explanations. Sometimes it emerges in moments of wordless joy, in dreams more vivid than waking, or in that fleeting instant before you remember who you're supposed to be. Then, around age 3 or 4, a veil descends. Your continuous reel of existence develops a vast, unexplainable gap. Neuroscience calls it infantile amnesia, but that term makes it sound like a flaw. It isn't. It's your brain's first act of curation. The developing mind can't carry the weight of such raw experience and still learn to function. So, it chooses. It keeps the skills, the emotional imprints, the deep knowledge of safety and danger, and releases the overwhelming details. What remains isn't memory but imprint, the invisible foundation upon which everything else is built. Though you can't recall being held, your body remembers the safety. Though you can't recall your mother's voice, something in you still turns toward its tone. The memories may be gone, but the learning remains, etched not in words, but in your nervous system. This is implicit memory, the knowing carried in breath, in muscle, in automatic responses that guide you toward comfort and away from harm. Those earliest experiences carved pathways that still shape how you love, how you trust, how you soothe yourself when life becomes too much. Sometimes in dreams, you are small again, not remembering being small, but actually being small. Seeing the world from that low angle, feeling that raw vulnerability, living with intensity unshielded. These are not memories, but the baby self still alive in the architecture of your psyche. And sometimes, in waking life, a smell, a texture, or a tone of voice awakens something deeper than memory, a full body recognition that bypasses thought entirely. In those moments, the forgotten child in you reaches forward through time to touch your present awareness. Maybe not remembering infancy isn't a loss, but a gift. Those first months were too powerful, too pure to carry consciously. The infant self lived love without fear, need without shame, presence without performance. If we remembered that state completely, how could we tolerate the masks, the compromises, the roles required to live in this complex world? Forgetting allows us to grow, while the deepest lessons remain safely stored. Neuroscience shows this isn't failure but adaptation. The hippocampus, the brain's memory builder, doesn't fully mature until age 3 or 4. Before that, experiences are stored differently, not as stories, but as sensations, emotions, and habits. What results is implicit memory, knowledge that shapes you without words. Early attachment, safety, and comfort become the templates that guide how you connect, regulate, and bond throughout life. Early care quite literally rewires the nervous system, shaping how we respond to stress, love, and belonging. So even though you cannot remember your infant self, you can still meet it. In meditation, in therapy, in stillness, you may glimpse that original awareness, the self before identity, before conditioning. This connection doesn't come through recollection, but through presence. When you breathe without agenda, when you sit quietly, when you let yourself simply be, you touch that baby self again. The part of you that once knew how to exist without needing to become.